Good morning, and thanks to everyone for coming today. Today's session is our third in the series, and it's all about growth and innovation, power of simplification, and award of complexity. I'm Donna Gratis, Director of Product Management for SyteLine. We also have David Fetz, who is our Solution Consultant for PLM, and Alfred Jerem, Director of Product Management for e-commerce, and Sahir Mokra, Director of Product Management for Warehouse Mobility. In today's session, we're going to talk about PLM, e-commerce, and warehouse mobility for SyteLine. So these are solutions that are available for our SyteLine customers, and we want to tell you more about them. So first, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to David, and David's going to talk about PLM, and then we'll just go right ahead, and David will turn it over to Alfred, and then to sit here, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end. David?
Hey.
Yeah, I'm good. Give me a second to make you presenter. And there you go. You got it.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. So I quickly want to take a few minutes of your time this morning and talk to you about product lifecycle management or PLM. Really, if you think about what product lifecycle management, what it means with SyteLine, it's truly the engineering tool for SyteLine. And there's many ways we're going to look at that today and really discuss some of the problems we're solving for yourselves in all the disparate industries that are online today. So if we first start off with just thinking about some of the pressures inside of the industry, you all know them very well, but we're going to talk about how PLM can solve these. So if we think about our operations, always the common three that are out there. We need lower cost of manufacturing. We need to outsource and control that outsourcing or contracting of information. And our supply chains are not getting any easier to manage these days. Well, PLM is going to have solutions for all these disparate areas here inside of operations. We really need to think about lowering cost of manufacturing. And a lot of times that's pretty simply defined as really delivering the right information to manufacturing at the right time. And PLM is going to deliver that type of functionality for us. It's also going to manage our data for us so we can control the data that we're sending outside of our walls. And obviously it's also going to help us in supply chain management. At more of a corporate level, we need to realize more revenue growth, profit growth. With those two items being said, a lot of that can be handled in multiple ways. It can be handled in maybe being able to produce more projects or more jobs throughout the year. Well, PLM is going to help do that. PLM is going to make our jobs and processing of that information for our jobs more efficient. And we talk a lot about today, I'm going to talk a lot about engineering needs, but we can't forget other departments inside of the company. Every division inside of the company can use product lifecycle management. If it's for our CAD engineering, if it's for our quality documents, if it's understanding and controlling sales, or if it's even just kicking off of new project ideas, we're going to see that project lifecycle management, PLM, can deliver that information for us. And it's going to not only deliver it, it's going to secure it, control it, and also allow us to collaborate internally with it. Our customers are definitely, out there. They want higher quality products. Of course, they want it at lower prices, and they need a faster turnaround time. Pretty simple. PLM, adding that into your organization is going to help solve those issues. One, it's going to help us with our projects that we're currently working on a daily basis. It's going to help speed up our projects internally with different processes or business processes we might have to deliver through them, being electronic change notifications and tracking that information, or making sure that everybody is following the steps. And again, we're releasing that right information. As we speed up our internals, we're going to be able to have time to add more quality to our projects or our products that we're delivering to our customers. Also, by speeding up the transfer of that information, we're going to be able to deliver faster and typically with lower pricing at the same time. And we need to think about our ever-changing industry out there. Compliance and regulations that are being added on, it almost seems like at a daily basis. So if we're concerned about RoHS, REACH, or health with 21 CFR, PLM is going to help us and manage our data for those respective compliances. Also regulatory security. If we're working with ITAR or worried about things inside of automotive, being TPAT, APQP, PLM is going to deliver a solution to help manage our data and again, help with those compliance and regulatory issues we're consistently brought upon us and need to deal with. So product lifecycle management is really going to help us. Just real quick, a little bit of history about Infor and product lifecycle management. We were the first ever company to release a visual data management system to the market. We've been providing these types of solutions for over 15 years. So not only have we been doing this for a long time, we've learned a lot of lessons internally ourselves, but we've also listened to our customers and what they need to get their jobs done faster, and we've, of course, added that to our software over the years. If you look at Infor.com and you look up Product Lifecycle Management, or PLM, one thing you're going to find is you have two options that are available to you. Well, one, that's because Infor understands that not one solution can deliver the answers to all industries. So on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll find something for the process industry. So if you're doing formulations and recipes, if I need to deliver the ingredients on inside of a Coca-Cola can and list out those formulations, you're going to look at a product called Optiva. Where I am a consultant and is our Discrete industry, our PLM product for Discrete, really dealing with parts and assemblies. And again, I need to mention not just parts and assemblies and engineering, but we need to think about quality. We need to think about sales. We need to think about how we control our data inside of our company, and PLM is the tool to do that for us effectively. So a real quick slide about a lot of the different industries that we're currently involved in, some of our bigger customers within inside of those industries. One thing to note here is that PLM can be delivered to a company that has maybe 3 engineers, obviously up to hundreds of engineers. So we have a very scalable solution to fit any company's needs. But one thing we've really learned about not only working in all the disparate industries out there and working with all these customers is that typically they all have the same types of problems that we're solving with product lifecycle management. And if we start thinking about those problems, we think about how these companies are set up internally. We typically see there's disparate islands of information. If it's engineering, marketing, sales, service, manufacturing, procurement, they're all disparate islands of information. They may be connected internally with intranet, or what I like to refer as sneakernet, but also they may have their own automated systems inside of these different islands. Well, PLM, and I'll show you in a minute how we're going to solve that information. But a lot of times we don't have to only think about internal, we also have to think about external. What about our manufacturing, distributed manufacturing, our customers, our other partners we're working with, and our suppliers? Well, PLM is going to deliver the tools to share that information, again, not only internally, but externally. And more importantly, we're going to be sharing the right information the first time. And how are we going to go about doing that? As we see, we kind of take the same structure, but what we do is we really put PLM in the middle. PLM, again, controlling of all of our data. Obviously, being SyteLine customers, SyteLine also controls data for us, but we need to make sure we're supplying good data to SyteLine, and that's really where PLM comes in. PLM is going to help us automate the process of entering our data into SyteLine, usually from engineering. So that item bill of material, that item master, will be concentrated inside of PLM and automatically delivered over to SyteLine, also reducing a lot of manual steps we see customers have introducing that data into SyteLine. But with PLM living in the middle, we're now having all the disparate islands of information with a single focal point, a single source of truth for the company and its data, and we're going to give you the collaboration tools so everybody can access that data and realize the right data again at the right time. So not only internally, but we can also securely give rights to that information outside of our walls. There are some solutions that are out there typically. We've probably all heard of product data management. So if you have an engineering under your roof, you think about the engineering companies, the software companies, SolidWorks, CATIA, or Dassault, and Siemens, and Autodesk, and they all deliver a product data management type of software out there. And it's really good at controlling their CAD information, but really where it lacks is sharing that information with the enterprise. So if we look at the first selection here, CAD and PDM, we really think of the CAD vendor solution more just of a tactical solution out there that really doesn't work well for the entire enterprise. The second solution that's available is from a third party. So the third party is going to try to integrate into the CAD system. It's going to try to integrate into SyteLine, but the problem is it's a third party. It's going to have trouble keeping those links healthy continuously over the years, and that's just more of a commercial solution that exists. Well, the right solution is really the strategic solution, and that's really brought to you by Infor. Our product lifecycle management tool is CAD Neutral. So for all the engineering tools that are out there, we're fully integrated. We're partners with the CAD systems, so we're always fully integrated to the latest and greatest software releases. And again, we're that engineering tool for SyteLine, so we're also fully integrated into SyteLine itself, meaning the transfer of that item bill of material, the transfer of all that engineering data, bill of material information, we can supply that to SyteLine automatically. Again, removing a lot of the manual processes that are out there, and we're going to have healthy links of information from CAD to ERP all the time moving forward. And the last solution that was out there was always more of a manual process, just pushing information, a data dump from CAD to ERP. It's just an old solution. So if we really think about Infor is delivering the best solution. What makes a difference out there for us is really 4 key areas. And it really starts with business processes, obviously the integration in the ERP, the regulatory and compliance, and the collaboration of the information inside of PLM. So if we dig into this a little deeper, we think about business processes. And we think about a lot of companies have these processes installed. A lot of them can be still manual, paper-driven, Excel spreadsheet, and so on. So if it's electronic change order, a new product introduction, just the approval of documentations from quality in the system for everybody to use, PLM is going to deliver the tools to automate those business processes for you, giving you the ability to have electronic signatures, the tracking of those business processes. Have they been rejected? Where are they stalled out at? We're going to give you the insight to all that so we no longer have to manually track these things and making sure they're being taken care of. PLM is going to do that for you, and it's also going to give you notification along the way of all these processes and the full history of them. The ERP integration, so important. We understand ERP and how important it is to our organization, but how about the information we're supplying to ERP? It's got to be good, healthy data. So PLM is going to deliver that for us. Not only is it going to interact with the SyteLine and be tightly integrated, but also we can share that information back to our engineers. What if we need to design for inventory, design for cost? Giving the engineers easy access to ERP or SyteLine without having to be ERP or SyteLine users, PLM is going to deliver that type of solutions to the engineering team so they can go forward and make their decisions faster and make the right decisions the first time. Regulatory and compliance, ITAR compliance, again, I really go back to ITAR here as really being a lot of security. PLM is security for your data. Again, if it being engineering data, if it's quality documentation, if it's workflows, if it's RFPs, things like that coming from the industry, PLM is going to be able to manage that data for us, apply the proper securities to that data so the right people are seeing the information they're supposed to see. Also being able to flag the individual files inside of PLM for their different regulatory or ITAR compliances that exist out there. So PLM is going to be able to solve those issues for us. And none of this is any good if we cannot collaborate easily with us. So PLM is going to deliver a web client for everybody inside of the organization that they can share and use. They can start business processes from this web client. They can look at the data living inside the system. They can see the history of the data. So now we can start making our decisions the right time, or making our decisions quickly the right time, and making sure it's the right decision at the same time. So collaboration becomes extremely necessary and extremely important when dealing with our data inside of the system. And for our companies out there that have the engineering departments, again, we are CAD neutral, so this is a huge benefit. We have partnerships with all the CAD vendors out there, not just electrical CAD suppliers, but also the mechanical CAD suppliers. So if we're on the mechanical side, again, the Dassaults, the Autodesk, Siemens, Creo, Pro Engineer, we have the solutions available for them to integrate directly into those user interfaces. And that becomes very important for the design team and the engineers, that they can stay in their application, they can continuously do their job inside of the application they're comfortable with, but also have the added functionality of product lifecycle management. Also, this, again, lives on the electrical software. So if it's Promise E, AutoCAD Electrical, and all the other ones that are out there, again, we fully integrate into those. We can control those. We can capture the item bill of material information from those, create that item master, again, and send it off automatically over to SyteLine, saving us time, resources inside of the whole process. So that's really, in a nutshell, that's what PLM is going to deliver to you. Also, I'd like to mention this is some pretty exciting time for our product lifecycle management tools, as we're currently getting ready to release our brand new user interface with brand new functionality. So if you look at our product lifecycle management tools in the past, you're going to see a dramatic difference in the tools today with the new user interface, making it even easier to use for everybody inside the organization, again, not just engineering. So if you've taken a look in the past, thought it was maybe a good fit for your company, it's even a better fit today. So that's all I have for you. I know we're going to be answering some questions at the end. I look forward to speaking to you in the future. Alfred, I'll be passing over presentation control to you.
Thank you, David, and thank you for a very good presentation. Good morning to everybody. My name is Alfred Gerum, and I will be speaking to you about e-commerce. Let me see if I can just get control of the there we go. Very, very often when we speak about e-commerce, you hear the typical business drivers like globalization, lower margins, international competition, rapid changes, all those kind of things. And not that many years ago, I was actually a customer using Infor e-commerce, and I listened into things like this. And this is what we typically read in different magazines and papers when it comes to e-commerce. But to simplify the whole thing a little bit, what it is about, it is bringing you as the seller closer to the buyer, whatever that buyer is, if it is a company in a business-to-business scenario, or if it is as a consumer. So that is a little bit of the perspective that I want to talk about today. And the way to bring value for everybody is, of course, to make it easier for your customers to buy. That is what we want. But let's not forget, it has also to be simple for the supplier to source the thing and to adapt. So these are the perspectives presented to you today. And our e-commerce solution, it is used for business-to-business, business-to-consumer, and I would like to say it's used everywhere with some kind of simplified online order entry and a catalog is needed. Because hands on heart, if you don't want to do commerce, you can still present your catalog, you can present images, you can present different things in the solution and such. The three images that you see, the two on the left-hand side, are from our demo environment. Those are two skins that we use when we're demoing for e-commerce. The one on the right-hand side is from a customer. So it can look very, very differently. And this is a very, very popular topic when you enter e-commerce discussions, the usability, the user experience and such. And all our templates and the whole structure of the site and everything is built on experience, and it's built on how people are expecting to see things on the internet. Because if you think about it, most of your visitors will probably spend most of their internet surfing, shopping time somewhere else on some other site and then arrive at your site. And what they will expect is, to be able to time stuff quite easy. So don't go crazy about that. What you should do is actually have offerings that are good and focus on that part. With that said, I would like to show you this little game. It's called Connect the Dots. And it starts with saying that, if we are working or if we are home at a private time, we shop a little bit differently depending on where we are, but more or less the same. It starts with an interest. We do research, we shop, we share, we buy, and we do this in quite different channels. Now, out of all of you attendees, you're looking at this and saying, well, this is a good slide, but I don't have 2 full-time employees updating my Facebook page. We are a smaller company, and what's in it for me? This is all true, but you're seeing this slide. We're taking all of this into consideration when building our e-commerce solutions. Let's get it a little bit down to earth. Let's say that we are a company with 50 employees. We have maybe some 400 customers, and B2B is our business model. It's good that we speak about e-commerce and that we speak about business consumer and all those sides, but B2B is our business model, and we will not change that. The simple answer is, of course, that you need to work with integration and optimization all the way. That is the answer I got when I asked another e-commerce expert what to do if I was a company with 50 employees. But that has to mean something. What this means in this case is that you offer an e-commerce solution to your customers, and they place the orders. Actually, the orders come more correct than if you place them yourself, so that lowers your burden, and you only have to work with the deviations of the orders in SyteLine. And then you get different statuses. It's reserved, it's fixed, you do things to the order, and you ship it. So that means that for the customer, what they get back is in their everyday business just a test. Not to say that this is not valuable, because this is, of course, the 2 most answered or asked questions that people ask your business. Where is my goods, and can I order whatever it is to order from you? So that's good. But what you can do is, of course, to look at it from another perspective and say this is a long-term business strategy we have, even if it is business to business. And by that meaning, we can have our catalog. It can look nicely or not. We can show news. We can have campaigns. We can do collaboration scenarios. Now we'll show you a scenario as such. So there's so much more that you can do to offer your customers a good e-commerce experience, which means that you actually create a win-win situation for you and your customer. And for those of you that are 50 employees and don't have millions of customers, you know how important it is to have that relationship. Both feel that they have a good deal on every order. So that is what I would like to highlight today, and that is what we're trying to speak about and to show that you can actually use this to service and not only see it as a go crazy thing that you don't need. It is not IT, it is not technology. This is your core business, even if it is, B2B and everybody might not use it. So look at it from the perspective that it is serving your 400 customers and securing the business you have. So that is what e-commerce is about in an extremely simplified way to look at it. A typical setup, we can do a lot of things in our e-commerce solution, from the simplest scenarios to extremely advanced scenarios integrating from machine to machine. But let's not speak about that. I have on the right-hand side highlighted where most of our customers are and how they use it. They let their customers browse, and then they get an order back, an order confirmation through email, and they can see order history and such. And the setup we do is that the setup you make in SyteLine for order calculations, product availability and such, we don't change that, but we actually retrieve that real time from SyteLine. We use Ion for the integration of data between. Then in Infor e-commerce, we can do customer segmentations and create new segments. If you want to group your customers differently than you already have, you can have multiple product catalogs. So some customers see the product catalog 1, others see product catalog 2, and so on and so on. So this is the typical base setup that we have. And typical configurations are the B2B and B2C scenarios with functionality that you all know. On the B2B side, you can have favorite items. You can work with favorite categories, so you don't have to find all your items all the time. On the right-hand side, we have a B2C where we work with top sellers, with tell a friend, and so on. And all text, all branding, all naming, everything can be changed. So if you don't want to have a wish list, you can rename wish list to wedding list or whatever. So it's a very, very flexible tool so that you can put your company language, your industry language into it. I'll show you a little bit from one of our demo sites. I have chosen a fashion site. A typical entry page, you can see the categories on the left-hand side. On the top, you see different areas that you can navigate into, and then you have an offering. As I said, there are no surprises. If you're not an extremely, branded company that releases to a consumer like Nike does or Brewster did, this is what you should be focusing on in scenarios as such. We move on, and then we go down and look at categories. And notice one thing here. On the top left-hand side, you can see the logo of this big company called Once Fashion. And you see I have a red square thing underneath. And as you can see, I have chosen to have all my category images red. Now, this is the trick to make e-commerce look nice. It is to actually have nice content into it. The typical first question I get in a Q&A is, how long time does this take? Well, to set up technically, as I said, it's not an IT, a technical project. Technically, it doesn't take long. Let's say in worst case, it takes 2 days if you can't find a firewall or something. Then it takes time to gather the pictures to make sure you have a good strategy for that. If you have been using PLM before, then you're in pretty good shape from start. And if this was for a manufacturing or a distribution company using PLM, using CAD drawings like David showed and so on, you can actually publish CAD drawings and you can create navigation areas on the different drawings if you're selling spare parts and such. So there's something in it for everybody, but you have to consider it takes a little bit time to do these things, and you should look at it as your strategy. So to make it look nice, make sure you have a little bit of time to do this thing. Let's move on here. We are down to a product list that can look this way or differently if you want to. And when we have selected something, we can put it in our order basket. We can continue to shop. We can share it on Facebook. We can tweet about it. And with that done, we look at our order form. If we're happy with that, we put in the rest of the information. And if this is a B2B scenario, all the customer main information here, of course, comes from SyteLine. And with that done, we submit the order and we have an acknowledgement coming. We can download an XML file of the order and we will get an email that we have actually managed to submit it. I want to show you a collaboration scenario also. This is Jen Smith, and this is functionality that we have in our e-commerce solution. Jen Smith is one of your customers working for a company that is your customer. And he's not sure what to order. He has 2 products that are quite similar, and he needs help. So instead of calling you, what he will do is actually he will type a message and he will share this order with Robert Jones. And Robert Jones is Jen's colleague, so they are both working for the company that is your customer. So they actually don't need to call you. And what he will do, he will actually save down this order, and Robert Jones will take ownership of the order and take a look at it saying, okay, I will delete the incorrect order line, And with that done, he's going to share it back with a message to John Smith. So that's the kind of collaboration scenarios you have here. So in B2B, not only, of course, do you want to sell, but if you look at it from an outside-in perspective, it is someone's procurement process that you are supporting. And this is why we have this kind of functionality in our e-commerce solution. Of course, you can look at our solution through an iPad or iPhone. There are also some purpose-built interfaces coming out, but let's not go into this today. I hope you have had some good teasing information about this. And what we, of course, want to do with this is that we want to help our Infor customers on our Infor ERPs like SyteLine to have good business together with their customers. With that, I would like to say thank you, and I will give the presentation to you here. Thank you.
Here? Are you on mute?
Yeah. Thanks, Anna. I was on mute.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alfred. So, my name is Sudhir. I'm the product manager for the warehouse mobility product and also the time track product. So, for the next 15-20 minutes, we want to talk about, now that Alfred talked about the e-commerce side of it, I want to focus on the data collection aspect of the of our portfolio, especially within the warehouse mobility or within the shop floor, so our day-to-day operations. So with that said, if you take a typical manufacturing setup, it sounds pretty straightforward. You receive raw material, you move them into the warehouse, you take them to the shop floor, whether you're doing manufacturing, assembly, or kitting, whatever might be the case. And once the product is ready, you pick and pack against your customer orders and then ship the product out the door. But obviously, everybody on the call, we all know that manufacturing is not that straightforward. And the people that are tasked to keep these operations going without any downtime or optimizing the processes are warehouse supervisors, shop floor supervisors, and IT. And when we talk to each of these individual areas, while everybody is trying to run the operations at the maximum efficiency, the issues they run into or the situations they run into are slightly different, or the things that they're responsible for are slightly different. For example, warehouse supervisors, they are more worried about how do I keep my inventory accuracy high? How do I update my ERP when I'm receiving my raw material or when I'm moving the material around in the warehouse? How do I optimize my process? Now, if we talk to shop floor supervisors, their concerns are more along the lines of, hey, where is my material? What are my material costs and labor costs? How am I going to keep track of my employee time on the shop floor? How efficient are my resources? And is there any way that I can optimize some of these processes? Now, the other side of this business is the IT team that is looking at some of the solutions, like some of the things that we discussed today. What is the deployment time? How easy is it to use and support? What is the ROI? What happens when I upgrade from one version of SyteLine to the latest and greatest of SyteLine? So what we were able to do was create two different solutions with slightly different applications. The first one is warehouse mobility, which addresses your inventory movements within the warehouse or material movements within the shop floor. And then we have another solution called Time Track, which will allow you to keep a track of the time and attendance or the labor time and the payroll attendance information within the operations. So anything starting with clock in, clock outs, or start-stop jobs, crews, multi-jobs. So all of those can be handled using our Time Track solution. So these are the two applications that I'm responsible for, and both of these applications are specifically designed for manufacturing industry to optimize the operations. Now, if we talk about warehouse mobility, I'm going to give you one example to highlight how the solution can be configured to a customer's requirements. For instance, if you take purchase order receiving, if somebody is using barcodes, or even if you're not using barcodes, if you were to write down what you've received from a purchase order receipt standpoint, all you're trying to write down is what is the purchase order number, what is the item that you're receiving, and how much did you receive. Whether you write it down on a piece of paper and enter it into the SyteLine, or whether you are using a barcode scanner to collect the data, this is the basic pieces of information that you're collecting. From the looks of it, it looks pretty straightforward, but we all know it's not that straightforward. When it comes to receiving, depending on the item type, whether it is a lot controlled or whether you're using serial controlled items or a non-lot controlled items, you might have to capture the lot numbers that your vendors send or generate your own lot numbers. And depending on how your physical process is laid out, how your receiving dock is physically laid out, you might unload the truck onto a receiving dock, or as you're unloading the truck, you're moving the materials into the warehouse, which is basically you're combining receiving and put away into one single step. If you have the requirement to inspect your raw material, and if you're using the QCS module within SyteLine, you're now talking about receiving and doing inspection at the same time. And if you're using barcode labels, you might want to print barcode labels with your own information on it so you can scan them as you're moving materials within the warehouse. Or that material is flagged as urgent on the shop floor, which means you cannot be putting that material in the warehouse, but you actually want to take it to the shop floor. Or if you're using Kanban, you might want to move it to a Kanban bin. So a simple task like receiving can have several different permutations and combinations based on how simple or how complex your operations is. And what we were able to do was to design a workflow-based solution. Basically what it does is it allows you to configure configure warehouse mobility solution to your business requirements. For instance, in the example that I gave you where you're receiving the raw materials and moving them directly into the warehouse, which means you're receiving and doing put away at the same time, by simply checking this parameter, now the barcode solution would do receiving and put away at the same time. Or similarly, labels required. It's a very classic example. If you ask your vendors to print with labels, you don't need to print labels. But if you have a need to print labels, you simply check this, and the solution is going to print labels for you. So it's basically by using the administration tool, by simply checking or unchecking few parameters, you can configure how a receiving transaction should perform within your operations. And I'll give you the scope of all the transactions we support using warehouse mobility towards the end of the presentation. So that warehouse mobility, I've given you an example of purchase order receiving, but we do support everything from receiving through shipping. Anywhere you're moving the materials around in the warehouse, you can automate your data collection using warehouse mobility. Now, the second product I was talking about, which will allow you to capture labor time and payroll attendance information, is our time track solution. So here is an example or a screenshot of our time track solution. So basically what the solution does very well, it can combine your labor time collection and attendance into one simple solution. And it presents nicely the information for the supervisors into a single dashboard. So if I am a supervisor, I am coming in, what you're seeing here is my dashboard. These are the employees that report to me. And you can see they're all color-coded with certain codes or whatnot. Some of them are late or some of them did not show up, or for example, these guys are absent today. So it gives me a quick snapshot of what is going on with the employees that report to me. And then I can say, hey, show me only errors or show me only people that are absent. I can filter them. I can do start and end reporting dates. So there are several different things, several different ways I can view this. And let's say I want to drill down further, saying, okay, this employee has some exception, which is why it is color-coded slightly differently, and I want to see what the exception is. I double-click on it, and if you observe carefully before I show you the next screenshot here, this is all, it is built on a Mongoose framework. For people who have not heard this word, Mongoose framework is a framework that SyteLine uses to build its app, the ERP. So we've used the same framework, the look and feel, the flexibility that you have with SyteLine today. You can have similar flexibility, have same look and feel as SyteLine when it comes to time track. So it's a natural extension to your ERP. So now, as I said, I want to drill down into one of the employees. I double-click on it. It's going to take me to a next screen where you can actually see the power of the solution. So this is basically showing me for a particular employee when I clocked in, when I started my job, when did I take my lunch, when did I start my job after coming back from lunch, and when did I clock out. And as you can see, there are some cells that are white in color here, which means these are all the things that a supervisor can edit. The supervisor can not only edit when an employee came or left the building, but he can also edit jobs he started. For instance, let's say I put in operation 30 instead of operation 20. Supervisor will be able to access that and change the information and also change the quantities if your employees are reporting quantities. So it presents both the attendance and the labor pieces into one single area for reviewing and approving and posting it. With that said, it's pretty comprehensive and flexible solution. Basically, the way we look at it, you can configure the product. We have several different parameters, almost 300 plus parameters that you can potentially configure. Once you configure the solution, you define your shifts, employee types, overtime rules, whatnot. You can collect the information when I'm coming into the building, when I'm leaving the building. Supervisors will be able to review and approve my timesheet. And once I'm done with reviewing and approving, the labor information can go to ERP, in this case SyteLine, and the attendance information can go to an attendance package. If you're using the payroll module in SyteLine, we send the data to payroll module within SyteLine. If you're using ADP or Kronos, we send the data to ADP or Kronos. So you can configure the product to your business rules. You can collect, you can review, and post the data to your back-end systems. Also, we do offer kiosk access for employees. What this allows an employee to do is come to a PC terminal and view his timesheets or print his timesheets. Not only that, it will also allow him to request vacation. And then you can set up workflow-based rules. As soon as I request a vacation, you can say, okay, Sudhir, you're of a different, based on your profile, you don't need any approval for your vacation as long as you're within the limit. Or you can say, whenever you put in a request, it has to be approved by your supervisor. So my supervisor would get an alert saying I've requested for vacation. The supervisor can either now approve or deny my vacation. So the kiosk, we call it kiosk, but basically it's a terminal where an employee can go in and view his timesheet, how much overtime, how much double time did he put in during the week or during the month, and also request vacation. You'll be able to, you'll have the ability to define shifts, employee types, and associated overtime rules. And we also support crews and multi-jobs. So that's about the time track solution. Just a quick overview before we go back to the results that some of our customers have seen. While I've shown you the warehouse mobility that will help you with the warehouse operations of material movements within the warehouse and time track for time and attendance, it is not one solution for all. Where we were able to really differentiate ourselves, or where Infor was able to do a very good job, was to offer different solutions for different verticals. So we understand for each of these verticals, we understand what their specific requirements are, and we have configured the solution. We've put in few things in the solution that would make it very relevant to your industry. For example, automotive, they use AI aging standards, where they use prefixes before their barcodes. So it's all part of the solution. By simply turning on AIAG codes, the solution is now enabled for automotive. And again, not to brag how much experience we have in this industry or anything, but just to give you a data point, so you have a better feel for how mature the solution is and how the solution actually evolved. We have over 15 years of experience in doing just data collection. We have well over 650 customers using the product. And believe it or not, the product that you're seeing or that I've talked about briefly were developed by our customers based on their feedback and the real-world scenarios. Now that I've said how many customers we have and how many have been using in the number of countries we are currently present, here are some of the real results that our customers have seen after implementing our product. So from a warehouse side, we were able to improve the inventory accuracy to over 99%. Now, when it comes to inventory accuracy, I run into two different scenarios. A lot of the times, customers who have no data collection or who have some basic data collection, they tell me either their inventory accuracy is very poor, in which case we can improve it to 99%, or they say, I'm already at 99%. The next logical question that we ask the customers is, how much time are you spending to maintain your inventory accuracy at 99%? Sometimes they do double counts, triple counts, just to make sure that inventory accuracy is very high. In cases where customers already had very high inventory accuracy, we were able to reduce the effort involved in maintaining such high accuracy by 30%. We've improved productivity by 33% because now you know how much each picker is able to take. An average picker, is it an employee training issue, or is the load on the amount of time, the way the warehouse is laid out and the amount of time it takes to pick. So you can actually, there's a lot of data available for you to analyze and dissect and figure out how you can actually improve some of your processes. And the single most important factor, if I were to put my finger on one single factor of what the solution does really well, is updating your SyteLine in absolutely real time. What that means is, as soon as a user on the scanner or on a device, he says, I've received the raw material, it gets updated instantaneously in SyteLine. And if something were to go wrong in SyteLine, the user would immediately get a feedback saying, hey, this transaction did not go through, please talk to your supervisor. So there is a real-time communication between the users and your ERP. That is unmatched. So based on what we know of the solutions that are available out there. From a shop floor standpoint, we were able to reduce the time to deliver the material by over 30% because now you can see where the material is. It's easy to go pick the material. You can see the shortages. You can order shortages and whatnot. And we were also able to improve profitability by 15%. This might be a tall claim to make, but I'll give you a small example. Heinz, one of the ketchup companies that we all know, is one of our data collection users. And previously, they did not have a clear way to identify the material costs involved in manufacturing some of their products because they were backflushing their raw material. Because of the overhead that it took for them to capture how much material they're using against the shop floor, they basically made some assumptions. Those bill of materials were backflushing based on the bill of materials built about 10 years ago. With the data collection, we made that process so simple. Now that they're able to capture how much each line or each product is taking in terms of material cost, and they were able to cut down on some of their products based on the information that they were able to collect. So while we can claim we've improved profitability, what we truly did in this case was we provided the data for the customer to analyze and make some key decisions. We do have KPIs to measure and improve resource efficiency as well. Again, back to the previous example that I was giving. And from an IT standpoint, obviously I talked about the solutions and the framework behind it and whatnot. From an implementation standpoint, one of the things we were deliberately, we were very diligent from the beginning was we understand that data collection is a small piece of your operation. So we try to keep the application very light, in terms of its, how it is implemented, how it is installed, and how it is used. Typical implementations run anywhere between 10 to 30 days, and it's very easy to support and administer. It comes with administration through device administration, user administration, and typical ROI, what we've seen, is anywhere between 6 to 12 months. Very quick ROI. This is a product that you can take, put it into place, and show the management clear results within 6 to 12 months. We have a clear roadmap and upgrade path as Dyna is adding more and more features into SyteLine. We're keeping our product up to date with that. So that way, as you're upgrading your SyteLine, the data collection also comes with all those features enabled for you automatically. So this is a long-term investment for you. It's not going to be, okay, what do I do when I upgrade the next time? With that said, remember I told you we do everything from purchase order receipts to shipping. Here is a graphic that shows your warehouse mobility product. So what you're seeing here is a operation. This is your raw material warehouse on my left-hand side. You have your shop floor in the middle, and your finished goods warehouse on the right-hand side. So as you can see, these are all the touch points that we enable using our application. So when you buy warehouse mobility, you get all this with 33 transactions that are bundled with our solution. You don't have to use everything, but everything comes pre-bundled for you. So we do purchase order receipts, all the way to shipping. On the shop floor side, we do issuing of job material, unissuing job material, collecting labor time, machine time. If you're using production schedules, we do support production schedules. And from a time track standpoint, again, we do combine two different time collection. One is labor reporting, where an employee is telling me when he started or started the job. And the other one is where the employee is telling me when he's come into the building and left the building. So that is what time track does. So these are two unique solutions, very flexible, very powerful solutions that help you improve your operations, regardless of whether you're using something today or whether you have nothing in place and are looking to improve your operations in the future. So with that said, I will turn it back to Dyna, and we'll open it up for questions.
Excellent. Thank all of you so much. That was very informative and a lot of information. A lot of information about PLM for SyteLine, for e-commerce for SyteLine, and also for contract and warehouse mobility for SyteLine. So again, these are Infor Solutions, so we want to unlock more value from existing applications, how you can extend your SyteLine to do more for you. Operator, if you'll go ahead and queue up the Q&A, that would be great.
Certainly. If you would like to ask a question over the phone, please press star and the number 1 on your telephone keypad. And we'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster.
Okay, and while the operator's doing that, just keep in mind that we are doing an Infor session tomorrow about Salesforce for SyteLine. And also the e-commerce that we went over today, those are both ION integrations, leveraging the ION suite of solutions. And then today we went over PLM, Infor Time Track, Infor Warehouse Mobility, and those are classified as point-to-point integrations. They do not require ION.
And Dyna, while we are compiling the roster, we have a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
One of the questions is, do we support field service module? We are in the process of integrating. Dyna actually made that a priority for us for the upcoming release. So by December, January timeframe, we should have a new release coming out that will have a field service module enabled with warehouse mobility.
Excellent. Cindy, I have some question on the time track. Can you record time off of SLOs also for time track?
Yes, absolutely. Service orders and field service module are coming, are part of the next release.
Okay, great.
We have no questions on the line at this time.
Okay, so thanks to everyone for coming today. Everyone that attended will receive a link to the WebEx recording and supporting materials. And if you have any questions, you can contact your sales representative. And of course, most of you guys know my email address, so you can contact me.